The rules for thee made for me because of thee are now, I don't know. What are the rules for tonight's debate? How did they get there? And who's going to benefit from them if you're not keeping up with this? These were rules set in place for the Joe Biden Trump debate. By the way, Kamala was scheduled for like 3 debates with Donald Trump. Looks like she's only going to do the one as of right now. If that changes, we'll do another show. By the way, welcome to Fawkes News, Fawkes. If you want more of our news, head over to Failure to Stop podcast and the Failure to Stop YouTube channel for long-term content covering a lot of things on tomorrow's live show on our main channel. This one's new and not quite live yet, but tomorrow we're covering this the hungry Haitians. Is it true? Is it not? Is it not true? Are there Haitians illegally in Ohio that are eating pets or not? This seems to be somewhat debunked. However, it was topic of conversation in a city council meeting with pictures. So I don't know. Also, tomorrow we've got to cover this Russia collusion is back. This time with Rubin reports and Tim Pool. So look, I happen to know Tim Pool and have been out to his place twice. And so this is a story I am watching very closely. We'll break all that down in tomorrow's long formatted news show on Last Call. Go over to Failure to Stop, hit the subscribe button. If you're here, hit the subscribe button. But let's talk about tonight's rules and why they're there and what they're for. Rule number 1, because this is all for quick news, guys. Quick news stuff here. Go through the news. Go through the rules for me real fast. Joshua. Are you there, Joshua? Joshua, are you there?
Oh, there we go. I needed to add my voice to the stage. So to start out, there's no opening statements. All these were set up for initially for the Biden-Trump debate. But when that went the train wreck that it did, and they replaced him with Kamala, and now she wants to change the rules, but the rules are no opening statements. How it's going to work out is they're going to come out, stand on stage, and they're going to go, okay, this is what we're going to do. You get asked a question, you get 2 minutes to respond. The opponent gets 2 minutes to rebuttal. Then you get a minute of clarity for each one, and then you go on to the next statement. Things that were approved or delegated ahead of time. Kamala won the coin toss to see who stands on the left or right side of the stage. She chose the right. Trump won the coin toss to figure out who's going to give the closing statements first or last. He won.
She chose the right because people just don't like left-handed people.
I don't know. I know from the military, the person in charge always stands on the right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I knew there was going to be some subliminal message there.
There's probably some.
There's always a reason, right? It's all part of the plan. So I knew the right. I thought it was because we didn't like left-handed people back in the day, and we still have that stigma. Isn't there a thing where like they used to just like abuse the shit out of left-handed people to make them right-handed? But that was the thing. Right?
I don't know. We could just cut your left hand off, and then you're not left-handed anymore. You're only handed.
I refuse to have a left-handed child. Let one of my children come into my house and try to use their left hand. Not happening.
No. Right hand over the heart for God. Right hand for your salute to the flag. Right-handed people.
Okay, there we go. So she chose the right on the coin toss.
Yep, she chose the right, and then the microphones will be muted. So the only time that you're going to hear their voices in that was when they're supposed to be responding. So this was set up because during the 2016 election, that Trump would just talk over everybody because everyone would start spinning their lies and their BS, and then Trump would say, "Well, no, actually, this is exactly what's going on." So because they don't want that to happen, they included this rule for the Biden debate. Now, the same rules have been applied.
Listen, the reason why they did it for the Biden debate was because they felt like at the time he would not be able to talk over them. They did not expect him to be exposing things and then them not being able to rebut it or come back at him. So it really backfired. And they brought this up. By the way, now, listen, a lot of people say these debates don't really matter. The debates really matter. Actually, we now have a new runner-up for president because of a debate. So I think the question that our debate's important, I think that has been proven. Yes, these debates are absolutely important, and you should be watching them tonight. We will be watching them. I hope you are as well. But this did not bode well. This one single rule was talked about more than anything on the last debate, that it really cost Biden the debate. Now, I think there's other things at play that cost Biden's debate other than this, but now they want to change it. And Trump said, no, you made these rules. You made this bed, and now you will sleep in it. And it worked out tremendously for Trump in the last debate. And I think it's going to work out for him here now, because she's not going to be able to fact check him and argue while she's muted.
That, and she's not going to have her, oh, he's talking over me moment either. Because he did that to Hillary. He did that to the debaters the last time. Another thing that's not going to happen is they're not going to be able to talk to each other and get an audience reaction, because the audience isn't there. There's absolutely no audience. There's just them, the moderators, and a few, very few select media people that are be in the back. They're not allowed to have any prepared notes, no props, no anything. So when they come out onto their lectern, it's going to have a couple blank sheets of paper, some pens to write with, and some water. That's it. They're not allowed to bring any notes out whatsoever. Allegedly, they're not going to have any of the questions. They're not going to know the questions ahead of time. However, we've been able to, the media on the right side of the media has been able to track down where some of these moderators have ties into the Kamala Harris campaign. Go figure. They're always
going to leak those questions. Let's go. If you don't think these questions aren't leaked, you're crazy. Go ahead.
Yep.
Sorry.
And then they get 2 minutes for rebuttal. So they'll have 2 minutes to answer the question, 2 minutes for rebuttal, and then a minute afterwards for clarification. And then they go on to the next question. It's set for 90 minutes. It's going to start at 9 p.m. Eastern and go for 90 minutes. They have 2 commercial breaks, and that's it. This is not the first time in the history of the country that we've had no audience. It happened in 1960 when Richard Nixon and John F. Kennedy debated. They had 3 debates. They had one in person with no audience, and then they had one that they were remote, and then they had a third one. After that, they didn't have presidential debates for 16 years. From 1960 to 1976, there were no debates whatsoever. So when we talk about like this isn't normal, this happened before for 16 years. And then afterwards, you want to know what happened afterwards when they started putting the debates back into debate, what would happen?
So what happened?
They did so in person for the first time with the sitting president. Gerald R. Ford participated in the television debate. His first debate was with Jimmy Carter, a Democratic challenger and a former Georgia governor. It took place in front of a live audience at the Walnut Street Theater in Philadelphia. Carter went on to win the debate, win the election over Ford. And every presidential debate since that point in history, since 1976, has been in person. This is to include all of the wars that we've been in, all of the wars that we went in Afghanistan, all the wars in Iraq, through the COVID-19 pandemic. We still had presidential debates. We had all this stuff. So nothing stopped them for that. But now we're doing these weird little rules and all that stuff. So
yeah, and the fact she's only going to do 1 and not the 3. So let me just read this to you really, really quick. This is from BBC. In a letter to ABC on Wednesday, the Harris campaign said that it still believed it would fundamentally be disadvantaged by the debates format, saying it would serve to shield Donald Trump from direct exchanges with the vice president. But the campaign added that it was accepting the rules so that the debate could go ahead. We understand that Donald Trump is a risk to skip the debate altogether, as he has threatened to do previously if we do not accede to his preferred format. Now, the reason why, objectively speaking here, that Trump did this was because it was kind of like he was going into the left's turf every time, seeing the moderators were of the left. All the cards were stacked against him in every debate, and he thought it was unfair. And so I think this is kind of evening it out for him. The Trump campaign said in a statement it was thrilled that Kamala Harris and her team of Biden campaign leftovers have accepted the already agreed upon rules, which again, these were agreed upon months and months ago because they had to do this because Biden couldn't stand a chance. He wouldn't stand a chance against Trump in his current state.
No, because you got to think about it. In 2016, all the 2016 elections, right? We had the rules for debates and everything. Everybody had the same rules. So Hillary Clinton could have walked away from the lectern and stood by Trump, just as Trump walked away and stood by her. Like everybody had the same rules that we're playing by. So then we come to 2020. We're like, all right, we're going to put specific rules in place to make sure that the things that you used in the last game to be an advantage, you can't use. So we'll back this up. So let's say you're playing basketball and you've got a person that shoots 3-pointers from half court and makes them every time. So Trump's making 3-pointers from half court. The next time that you go play the basketball game, they're telling you 3-pointers from the half court, they're not allowed.
Right.
You're not going to do 3-pointers from the half court. So he's like, all right, cool. Then he starts making plays from other side of the, he's getting the crowd into it, and they get behind him. Like, all right, well, we're going to take the crowd away too. So every time that they have these debates, Donald Trump is just absolutely destroying them. And then they want to change the rules because they want things to be favored in their favor, instead of just saying, hey, let's look at the same rules that he's doing and maybe do better. Instead of doing that, let's just change the rules for our favor.
I know you're really excited about this debate. This is all up your alley. You're a big debate fan because you're a producer and you're kind of a nerdy character. What are you most excited about tonight, Josh? And who do you think comes out on top in this debate? Now, I know enough about the debate. I've been headstrong into politics for the last 2 years. That's why we created this story. I thought Kamala, in her very first debate ever, remember when she was on the big stage with Hillary Clinton, with Biden, with Trump, and what was it? Chris Christie? Was that who else was on the stage? I can't remember.
Nikki Haley.
Nikki Haley. But I thought she actually did a really good job. But at the time, she wasn't front and center, right? So she could kind of pick and choose because she had other people to kind of hide behind, so she could cherry pick her answers. I thought she did really good with her answers, though, back then. Since then, we covered her CNN interview, which was arguably her biggest moment. Now, they're saying tonight is her biggest moment. I don't know. And they're saying right now that this is the first time she addressed the nation. When we did the CNN interview with Kamala Harris, our very first episode on this, right before I left on the cruise, that was her big moment. And that was her first time seeing the stage. So I guess they're taking that as a loss. And it's like kind of like a redo. Like in volleyball, when you kind of don't really get the really good serve. And so you just kind of like get to redo it, or in ping pong, when it hits the net, you get to redo it. We're like a mulligan in golf. It looks like we're kind of doing a mulligan because if I remember correctly, the media was all about that this was her big moment. This is the first time that she's speaking to the American public. This is the first time we get to, they're saying the same exact thing about tonight's debate. This is the first time that it's just going to be, this is her big moment. The first time that she's, and not the first time that she's debating. They're saying this is the first time of her, the public getting to know her. We don't know what Kamala Harris's policies are still to this day. We can't compartmentalize what her belief system are. She says she believes something, but her policy is completely different. Now, I'm fine with that, but I think it needs to be articulated and not politics. So it's okay to change sides and have a change of view on something, but there has to be a why. Maybe it's because you're getting paid, or maybe it's because you better understand the science, but that needs to be articulated, not just a write-off, which she did that CNN interview, which I don't think bode very well for her. I think the American public were like, what? And I think the moderator there, I think she did a great job holding her account, like holding her feet to the fire to answer the questions. She didn't do a really good job at answering those questions. I would like to see in tonight's, me personally, I want to see in tonight's debate, what are Kamala Harris's actual values and what were her original values and why did they change? That's going to come up in the debate because it came up in that CNN interview and she did not clarify that very well. So I do expect tonight that will be one of the big questions. And that's the question I'm most excited about. You being a debate nerd, what are you looking forward to tonight towards Kamala and Donald?
Well, if you think of the amount of hours that Donald Trump has spent in the last couple of weeks, I would say kind of preparing for this, doing interviews and podcasts, he has hours upon hours upon hours where he's sitting down for hours on end, uninterrupted. There's no filter. He's getting questions about cocaine. He's getting questions about immigration. He's getting questions about legalizing the weed. He's getting questions about all over the place. So he has questions for the last couple of weeks, literally from A to Z. She's done one protected interview with CNN. They edited a bunch of it. It sucked. You go back before that to DNC when she did her announcement there. That wasn't a really big, powerful speech. That sucked. And we go back a couple weeks before that, it was Joe Biden. So in a matter of weeks, we've had to go from the worst sitting president, vice president in the history of this country to now you are the leading presidential candidate. What I think is going to happen is what a lot of people think is going to happen, I believe, is we're on this train and we can see the tracks are ending. We can see the wall. We know this train wreck is coming. I think Donald Trump's going to walk all over her. I don't think she's going to have answers for policies because he has policy. He's been a policy person. She has been a side chick for her entire career, and now she wants to be the president. She doesn't have any history to stand on. If they go, okay, well, what's your policies for this? Why would you do this? Okay, why didn't you do any of that in the last 3 years as the vice president? You're
I really
one
hope
of the
they
most
ask her.
influential.
I hope they ask her why she is taking Donald Trump's policies and making them her own, knowing that they were Trump's policies first. And maybe hold her feet to the fire on that one. That will be interesting. I almost doubt that they would put her on the spot like that. This is a very important debate, and I think you guys have to tune into it tonight because the New York Times already has Donald Trump leading in the polls, but this is a 1-point flip, like a 1-point difference in this. Now, this is in a battleground state. This is in Pennsylvania, which she really has to win this. And 1 point either way could mean the difference in this entire presidential election. Now, I don't know, man. I think she should be preparing for this. I thought she was going to be a lot more prepared for her CNN interview, and she wasn't. I'd like to see if she comes back from that interview, if she studies really, really hard and takes this one seriously, because I do not feel like she took the CNN interview seriously. And you guys can watch our 1 hour and a half breakdown on the entire interview where we let her speak. We don't interrupt her. And we just kind of go through the question and answer of each of her answers in its totality and then match it up with how Donald Trump answered the same questions in his unscripted, unfiltered 2-hour interview with Elon Musk. She only did an 18-minute interview, and there was a lot of questions she didn't answer. So I don't know that Kamala's ready for this kind of unscripted debate, front and center with Donald Trump, where she has nowhere to hide. She has no way to really argue her points. The whole muted mics. By the way, this is a millennial's wet dream. We all know how The Office and Parks and Rec worked out, why they were so popular, because there wasn't a laugh track. There wasn't a plot crowd. You had to choose for yourself. That's why I always say, like, the criticalist of thinkers really enjoy The Office and Parks and Rec, because that's the kind of humor that somebody's not telling you when it's supposed to be funny or when you're supposed to be applauded. It was one of the very first American sitcoms that came out without a laugh track or an applause track. So I think us millennials, we're into this kind of thing. I'm really excited tonight. We will be watching it at 9:30. Don't forget to tune back in tomorrow for Last Call. We will be going through all of this stuff. The Haitian invasion, the Venezuelan invasion, the Russian collusion going on with Tim Pool and the Rubin report. And there's just a lot of news since I've been gone, since I've been at sea, but my sea legs have dissipated. My merman legs are back, and we will be just breaking down tons of news. Join us here daily. Make sure you subscribe, all you Fawkers, Fawkers, Fawkers here in the Fawkes Den. Share this out. Unbiased, objective news that isn't bought and paid for by anyone. We are just truly saying what we think and what we believe. And then, maybe it's not objective. Maybe it's a little subjective, but it's transparent. And we tell you our sources and we show you receipts, and we're not backed by any big giant funding at this moment in time, nor will we ever be. The plan for this show is for it to be crowdfunded, 100% crowdfunded, for me and Joshua to present to you daily the news in its totality and always give you the why. The why. Why is this big news? Why does the big government, why do they want you to feel a certain type of way right here, right now? Josh, thank you so much. I can't wait to see this debate tonight with you at 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. And listen, guys, we will catch you tomorrow in the live show, Last Call, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Failure to Stop podcast YouTube channel. That'll be live and then straight to audio afterwards. We'll see you Fawkers in the Wolfpack tomorrow. Cheers.
See ya.